let's just have a very brief conversation about just how freaking far ahead the top two teams are from the rest of the league. I mean, it was laid completely bare this past week. Not only with Liverpool dismantling Manchester United 4-0, as we've already discussed, but Spurs go out since our last podcast. They lose to Brighton 1-0, and then Manchester City comes out a few days later, completely blows Brighton off of the pitch. And Spurs are arguably the third best team on current form. Brighton had a header off a corner, and otherwise they did not sniff the goal against City. I mean, it was an absolute rout. Meanwhile, City, they're still pressing and scoring 82 minutes in. They're just absolutely relentless. So, like, you and I have talked about this briefly. Like, Manchester United is closer to Norwich than they are to Liverpool or City. So 6 is closer to 20 than they are to 1 and 2. And then my only question is, like, how far does that gap extend? There's 1 and 2 now so far clear of, like, Spurs and Chelsea and Arsenal to make this almost laughable. And the way I started framing it in my mind, and I'd love for you to weigh in, on current form, just current form right now from watching the league, is there any player in the Premier League who could break into the 11 of either side of City or Liverpool? I can only think of one for sure, and then we're having arguments after that.
Oh, who's your
the
one?
The entire rest of the league. Harry Kane would start for City on current form. I mean, the way he's distributing from midfield, he'd fit right into Pep's system. He'd give him more of a clinical up front. He'd fit in next to Foden. They could rotate, on the other side of him. Like, I think Kane would slide into the 11 at City, and that's it for ones that I'm sure of.
Yeah, I mean, part of me says Reece James would be really interesting at City, but I mean, they can't do it because if you could go super attacking with like Cancelo and Reece James, but like Kyle Walker plays a very specific role for them at the right back spot, and he sort of like allows Cancelo to be Cancelo. I think that's probably right. I'm trying to think.
That's the other thing, because you have to view the system, right? Like, both sides are playing a 4-3-3, heavily pressing. So, like, some of the other, best players in the league, and obviously I'm a little bit biased, but like Rudiger's had a tremendous season, but he plays in the back three. When he played in the back two, he wasn't anywhere nearly as effective. Reece James is still coming back from injury, so maybe he could slid into the Kyle Walker spot, but I agree with you. Kyle Walker plays such a specific function that I don't think James would be an absolute 11. He's definitely not taking Cancelo's spot.
I actually have one for you right here. I think at this point in their career, and as much as Hendo means for Liverpool, like, this is the Liverpool fans, if they're actually listening to this, are going to be very angry at this. But I think Kova is actually better than Henderson right now. So if you're looking at Liverpool's starting 3 midfield with Thiago, Fabinho, I think Kovacic would be an upgrade over Hendo.
Yeah,
in that free 8 role.
I could see Kova, or I could even see Mount fitting in there if they really want to double down on the press, right? Like, Mount's got the younger legs than Hendo, and they can continue the.
I mean, that is kind of the thing, though. Is like when Thiago and Fabinho are in the midfield, like, you could probably pick any midfielder that like just and allow him to get forward, and they look amazing. So I mean, like, Harry Winks might look awesome next to Fabinho and Thiago. So I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting way to think about it, for sure. That one guy, and the Premier League is the richest league in the world. This isn't like you're going to the area division and you're like, who would play for Ajax, from the lower table where they have a huge financial advantage over the rest of the league. Like, this is the Super League. Like, the Super League tried to happen, but this really is the Super League right now. And a lot of it is mostly stemming from, and this is getting away from gambling for a little bit, but just the fact that City and Liverpool have been excellent in their recruitment. Chelsea kind of was able to hang because they had an ownership structure and that loan thing that just allowed them to spend a ton of money. But even Chelsea's money was mostly kind of shot out of a fire hose. There wasn't ever a true like kind of plan behind it. And the year that they actually had transfer ban, a bunch of their young guys got minutes, and then that really helped them develop. So, I mean, like, I think a lot of it just comes out of that. Like, it's been really poor recruitment, and the teams that should be trying to catch them. United is a dumpster fire. Arsenal, they were the team that basically had to give away Aubameyang after they put him on like $300,000 a week wages, and then, Spurs have pretty much missed on everybody except Kulusevski as far as their other recruitment so far. I mean, Emerson really hasn't done anything. Reguilon's been like, okay. But I mean, for the most part, like their attackers have kind of faded. Lo Celso's out on loan now. I'm thinking of the other Spurs attacker that's also out on loan. It's just kind of comes down to the fact that like Liverpool and City have been incredible in their recruitment. They have a bunch of guys that could be considered some of the best players, maybe in Premier League history, in De Bruyne and Mo Salah, at their peak of their powers, surrounded by other guys, like Thiago being healthy has taken Liverpool to a whole new level, and everybody else is kind of swung and missed for the most part. And I think that's why we're seeing it right now.
Yeah, and if we were having this conversation in August, Conte would slot into either side because he was looking like the best midfielder in the world. But I'm talking current form, and maybe Kai Havertz gets there in a couple of years. I mean, Son would be rotational on both sides, but like playing this 4-3-3, high press, and kind of the style of football, Pep style and Klopp style, they basically have the perfect team for each coach playing at the height of their powers at the same time. And so, like, the rest of the league is so wildly far behind that it is incredible that we even had a 6-minute discussion. Could literally anybody else in the league play for them? It's mind-boggling to think that's the point we've reached in April of 2022.
Yeah, and I mean, and really, like, if you go globally too, those two teams are pretty far ahead of like the third best team in the world, probably Bayern Munich. So, I mean, I don't think I think after watching Bayern like kind of flame out of the Champions League, you might even say that they're a tier below those two teams.